As a millennial that grew up in the 90s and early 2000s, there was something magical about getting to experience the films released during the period known as the Disney Renaissance when I was a kid. Like so many people, I grew up with Disney, I love Disney, so I was excited to hear that they would be releasing a new animated musical that would pay homage to its 100 years of films. I was especially intrigued that they would be embracing a new animation style that seemed to combine elements of hand-drawn animation with modern CG. We've seen this done to great effect with the animated Spider-Man films, as well as the short film Paperman that Disney released several years ago. I am a fan of animation, but I was getting a little bit tired of kind of the buggy-eyed look that we got from movies like Frozen, so I was just excited to see Disney kind of go in a new direction with their animation style. So my expectations for this film were pretty high, and while I do have some critiques of Wish that I'll get into in this review, there is still plenty of Disney magic to go around. So what is Wish about? The movie Wish is an origin story of sorts for the wishing star we've seen in many other Disney films. One thing that makes it unique is that while it is a fairy tale, this is not based on any classic story. The movie takes place in the city of Rosas, which is on a fictional island in the Mediterranean Sea. Rosas is ruled over by an evil king/sorcerer, Magnifico, and his unsuspecting wife, Queen Amaya. We learn early on that Magnifico has the power to grant the wishes of the citizens of Rosas. Each citizen's wish turns into a magical glowing orb that Magnifico keeps in his palace, and then once a month he chooses one wish to come true in a ceremony. In comes our central protagonist, Asha, a 17-year-old girl who is set to interview to become Magnifico's apprentice. Her elderly grandfather is turning 100, and she hopes to convince Magnifico to grant his wish. During her interview, however, she discovers that Magnifico has no plans to grant most of the wishes, especially if those wishes will threaten his power. With the help of a magical chubby little wishing star and a talking goat, Asha sets out to take on Magnifico and grant all the wishes of the people of Rosas. So let's break down my thoughts. First off, the music was excellent. Some of the best Disney music I've heard from an animated film over the past 20 years. There's definitely at least a couple of songs in Wish that I think will become Disney standards that you'll hear in Disney parks and on TV specials and things of that nature. Now, while I do like Lin-Manuel Miranda, I do think some of his music has become a little oversaturated, especially in the world of Disney, so it is good to see them bringing in some more talent and branching out a little bit with their musical style in the Disney animated films. With Wish, it takes on kind of a pop music meets Broadway sort of vibe similar to The Greatest Showman. And the cast here all completely nailed it with their performances. Ariana DeBose as Asha and Chris Pine as Magnifico both stand out with their voice acting. But there is one thing I want to bring up about Chris Pine, and this is of no fault to him because I did like his performance, but I do think his casting was an odd choice. I mean, first off, the character is called Magnifico. He rules over a city called Rosas. He also has physical features which seem to suggest that his character would be Latino, even though he's played by a non-Latino actor. I'm far from the only person who has pointed out this kind of odd discrepancy. I wonder why they didn't get someone like Ricky Martin or Antonio Banderas to play this role. Now, as for the animation itself, when the movie started out, I'll admit I was a little let down. I think what this came down to is the color palettes had sort of this watercolor, washed out sort of look, and it didn't have the visual pop that I was expecting. However, once it went into scenes at nighttime and we saw our little star friend come down and sprinkle his magic, that's when it really came alive. And I think this was all perhaps by design. They really wanted those scenes that take place at night to really stand out. But I do wish we could get that same level of visual spectacle throughout the entire film. But speaking of the star, I will say the star and the goat really sold the movie in a lot of parts for me. They both had some genuinely funny moments and brought a lot of charm to the movie. Now, fans of Disney will notice various different Easter eggs throughout this film. You'll notice props and costumes, as well as dialogue that references different Disney films. I do think some of these references were a little on the nose, but it does at least give something kind of fun if you liked other Disney movies. Now, while I did enjoy the music and the performances, as well as the Easter eggs, which were fun, I will say the overall story that surrounded those elements didn't always work for me. I thought the mythology of these people and their, glowing orbs that represent their wishes was just kind of weird. And beyond that, the film just lacked a certain emotional resonance that I got with different Disney films. With some plot tweaks, I think this could have been a truly great Disney film. But while it didn't land 100% in the way that I was hoping, it's still a fun watch for any Disney fan, young or old. I give the movie 3.5 wishing stars out of 5. It's playing in theaters now.